So I will like to start and introduce herself. I will start to introduce Lihi. Lihi Berlev Schleider, she's our PhD research, okay? She's the head of our R&D department. And for me, I can tell you that I'm really proud to be with Lihi in this convention and in others, because she is, I think, one of the most professional person in the medical cannabis industry. She led 35 clinical and preclinical cannabis trials that conducted with collaboration with leading physicians and hospitals and universities in Israel. When we're speaking about each one of our 35 clinical and preclinical research, we have a doctor, a name in Israel that it's standing behind. So we are going to speak about it, and this is something that she did for the last 15 years. She's selected to be one of the 50 most influenced women in the cannabis industry, and we are really proud. And also what she's doing in the R&D department, it includes conducting clinical research, data collection, database management, and developing of product. This is what we are doing. We're developing product that aim to be the best product that we give to 100,000 patients in Israel. Listen to the number. This is the biggest number that we have in Israel. They spoke just a couple of minutes before that in Germany they have today 62,000 people. So in Israel we have 100,000, and the number just growing month after month, because we can see that most of the people want to get quality products and clinical products, and not just things from the black market. And I will tell you about myself. I'm the EVP of the Government and Community Affairs. I said it yesterday because I'm really proud. I was just 2 weeks ago even, got elected to be the chairwoman of the Cannabis Industry Forum of the Manufacturing Association in Israel. So it was really hard elections, but today I represent all the companies in front of the regulation and the government. So in Israel we're trying to open the regulation for CBD, for new product with the THC, we have so many problems, and we work together, all the companies, and I think this is really something that we achieved in the last year. Also, I'm a former MK of the Israeli parliament, and for the last 20 years, I worked for the government in a really high position. So this is where I come with all the knowledge. And I hope that Israel can lead a joint venture with other countries and with other regulators about opening the market, because I really believe in the medical cannabis market, okay? So a little bit what we will do today, I will speak for a couple of minutes only about Tikun Olam, that you will understand what we are doing. And Lihi will give you the data and explain about research, our last research about dimension, and what she's doing. And if you have more questions, of course we will answer. So Tikun Olam Cannbit, okay, it's very important. Tikun Olam Cannbit Israel. It's a public company. It's a global market. It's a global company. We are working in different countries in the world. You have in Israel all the unique ecosystem. We're working across all the value chain. I will show you in a moment. From cannabis flower cultivation to patient treatment. For us, it's very, very important, everything that connects to the patient treatment. And I know that some countries don't really understand what we are doing with the community and with the patient, and we can explain about it also. We pioneers in medical cannabis since 2006. So we have 3 kinds of R&D. We have the genetic R&D, we have the technological R&D, and we have the clinical and preclinical R&D. Almost 20% of our revenues go back to R&D. And still, I think this is the only medical company in the world that take 20% back to the medical R&D, because we really believe, although the medical market is not so big like the recreation market, when someone is ill and has a really illnesses or problem, they will go to the medical cannabis. When you give cannabis to children, you'll give them medical cannabis. When you give to the mentioned patient cannabis, you'll give them the medical cannabis. They will not put in their body everything that they can find in the black market or the recreational market. And I think that our priceless clinical assets is that we have data over 50,000 patients database. So this is Lihi, she's the manager of the database. and we still continue to work with our patients, and we know exactly what influenced them and what they are feeling. And also we have over 15 years of clinical experience and online guidance. I will say something. You know, once doctors give the prescriptions to the patients, we give them guidelines with nurses and brothers, especially with nurses, that give them answer the question. So we have a free nurses that give guidelines, online guidance, and also meetings to every patient they want to know, because sometimes they are taking materials that are not good for them, or they're feeling dizzy, they are not feeling okay, so they can come and ask us questions. And I say, what we have in Israel, we have a huge community that work with Tikun Olam, Cannbit, and this community buy our products. So we invest in the community of the patients, and this is something that is very important. And maybe it's part of Israel, but I think also in other countries you can create a community of your patients. So when I said that we have the activity along all the entire value chain, what we are doing in Israel, we have everything in Tikun Olam Cannbit. So we have cultivation farms, and we have cultivation farms in two different climates. One's in the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is the lowest place in the world. And if you haven't visited that there yet, come to visit Israel and come to visit the Dead Sea. It's a beautiful place. And then we have a cultivation site in the north of Israel. It's some kind like running valley. So we know how to grow our genetics in two different climates. We have EU GMP manufacturing site. We got the license. We have to get it like every day, the last permission, but we got it from the Germany authorities. We didn't do it in Israel, the EU GMP, so we got it from Germany. So we are going to be the only company in Israel that has the EU GMP from Germany, okay? And we do all the manufacturing site and the R&D in Israel. We have analytical labs, okay? So again, we are doing it for us and for other company. Distribution services in Israel and also to other countries. Pharmacy, green pharmacy in the center of Tel Aviv. In our green pharmacy, we are selling the products of all the companies in Israel, but then again, we are giving the guidelines and speak with the patients about Tikun Olam products, Tikun Olam Cannbit products, and the training clinic that I said about it. It's a very important, the training clinic. Don't miss it wherever you are working, because once you have the connection with the patient will come back to buy again and again and again. And they are telling, I'm taking Tikun Olam Cannbit. Our strains called Alaska, Erez, Avidekel. If you will ask people in Israel what is the name of cannabis, they will probably will use the name of our strains, okay? Because they are in Israel more than 15 years. Our strategy, we are working in the local market leadership, global market, and innovation and strategic partnership. In the local market, what we are doing, so in the local market, we are developing products that are clinical-based products. We have our products. We have OEM services for leading companies. We are also doing OEM services to people that are import to Israel in our company. And we are opening for the CBD market. And when I'm speaking about CBD, most of our CBD include THC. Lihi will explain about it. Okay, in the global market, so we are working in the EU GMP standard, and we are the first one to export cannabis genetics from Israel. Tikun Olam Cannbit has his own genetics, and we export the genetics. We also export until now flowers and genetics and cuttings and oils. So we export from Israel everything by now, and we have the license to export. We committed for tech transfers. What it means? It means that we bring the knowledge and technology and the era of experience and know-how. I spoke with one of the countries that just started. When we are coming to a country, this is what we are doing. I can tell you that yesterday, Lihi and me had to leave because we had a meeting with 40 doctors and people that work with doctors, and we explained them about our studies and our trials. So this is what we are doing. Lihi did it in the last 3 years in the Zoom, and now she's coming and she's meeting the doctor, so she's meeting the professional people, and we explain them about the trials that we conducted and about what we are doing. This is the know-how that we bring to other countries. Okay, in all the value chain, and innovation and strategic partnerships. So again, we collaborate with the leading pharmaceutical companies companies in other countries. So if you have a pharmaceutical company and you want to get our data, our knowledge, this is something that we collaborate about it. Okay? Okay, this is a movie about our company. Let's see that it is working. Yes.
To be first. To be first.
All the images are from the company. Okay?
You have to be disciplined.
Not Photoshop.
To be first,
the images of the company.
you have to be creative, different. To be first is something you need to know how to do. We at Tikun Olam Cannbit, since 2006, we have been
This is in the Dead Sea, our cultivation farm.
Medical cannabis in Israel and around the world. In 2019, the public company Cannbit Pharmaceuticals Limited acquired Tikun Olam Israel and merged it with the public company. Thus, Tikun Olam Cannbit was born. Our company has over 15 years of genetic research, with over 35 clinical and preclinical studies. This has led us to the development of internationally award-winning exclusive strains with a unique profile specific for treatment per label and with extremely high therapeutic accuracy. Our vision is to unlock the full potential of the cannabis plant and make its products accessible to patients all over the world in order to improve their quality of life. We have over 42 exclusive and unique strains of the highest pharmaceutical quality, 4 registered IPs, 17 clinical studies published in leading scientific journals around the world, treatment and cumulative information of tens of thousands of patients in Israel and around the world. Based on this knowledge, we have produced dedicated products in various forms of administration, clinically proven for the treatment of supportive care for oncology, autism, pain, dementia, and more. And we are just getting started. Our crops are grown in different environmental conditions, from the desert heat in the lowest place on the planet to the heights and lush environment of the valley. Our products are manufactured in accordance to pharma standards at the medical level and include advanced analytical tests to ensure high quality. Moving forward, we have created both infrastructures and agreements for cooperation and development in other cannabis industries as well. Food industries, supplements, medical cosmetics. Health is evolving and changing, and alongside conventional medicines, we are developing advanced therapeutic alternatives. Local pharma companies in different countries have already joined us. We also invite you to join us on a journey to repair the world and together plant the seeds of the future.
One last slide before I give Lee the opportunity to speak. I think this is the most important slide. Okay, what we did since 2006. Okay, so we have over 15 years of research. We have over 35 clinical and preclinical research, 20 publications in the world top tiers scientific journals. You can find our publication and use them. And of course, you can use them also with us. I spoke about a database. We have 6 clinical randomized placebo-controlled trials completed and 2 clinical randomized placebo control in process. So we continue to do our research. We continue to develop. We are doing a lot of collaboration and partnership about it. And I think this is what makes us I want to be modest, but a very professional medical cannabis industry. So I would like to introduce Lee and to call you to come, and thank you.
Thank you, Ifat. I want to thank the conference organizers for inviting us. So as Ifat said, my name is Lihi Schleider. In the past 15 years, I worked as a medical R&D manager at Tikun Olam. We conducted the clinical trials and studies with physicians all over Israel on specific indications. So for each indication, we targeted the symptoms that involve that indication with a specific product. So in the past 15 years, we published studies on IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn and colitis, on elderly patients, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, Parkinson's disease, Tourette syndrome, epilepsy, cancer not as an anti-tumor agent, but as an palliative treatment to reduce symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and others. Today, I will tell you on the number 20, a study that was published 2 or 3 months ago in a very high-ranked journal, Frontiers in Medicine, if you know it. So that's the trial I will speak about. And one more word on another trial on dementia patient, a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial. I hope I will not take too much time from your questions. So this study was conducted by me and 2 other professors. One of them you surely know, Professor Raphael Meshulam. I'm very glad that he was my PhD professor. I think I was his last student because, as you probably know, now he's 95. We assessed the adherence, safety, and effectiveness of medical cannabis patients treated with Tikun Olam's product. So the aim of the study was to characterize the patient population and to evaluate the short and long-term outcomes of the treatment. So in the routine treatment process at Tikun Olam, patients first undergo an interview, as Ifat mentioned, with a nurse to evaluate the treatment goal. All the symptoms that the patient suffer from that respond to cannabis will be the treatment goal. Depending on the personal characteristics of the patients, the nurse will advise on the preferred cannabis strain or strains out of Tikun Olam available strain that differ in active compounds concentration, and will explain about the titration, starting dose, and method of administration. 1 month after the intake session, and again 6 months after the intake session, we call all our patients, actively call the patient. They can call us and ask questions whenever they want. As Ifat said, the connection between the nurses, our nurses, and the patient for us is very important, so we are available for them, and they know that for any question. So besides of the phone calls that they approach us, we call everyone 1 month after beginning the treatment, and we want to ask mainly one question: how do you feel? We want to assess adverse events. If necessary, the nurse calls the patients to advise on adjustments in the treatment. If, for example, he suffered from some kind of adverse reaction, changes will be made. Again, 6 months after the initiation visit, one more evaluation and the follow-up assessment to assess change in symptom intensity and side effect, and I will show you now the results. So in the study period of only 3 years, you can see that for almost half of the patient received medical cannabis license for cancer. The main indication was cancer in Israel, followed by pain and PTSD. Mean age was 54, gender was relatively distributed relatively half male and female. Only 23% of the patients were employed when we included self-employment, part-time employment, and even student. You can see that most of the patients are unemployed. Driving, only 48% of the patients were driving themselves, and the median number of different medications per day was 3. For example, if one patient takes the same medication 3 times a day, we count it as 1. So the number of different medications per day was 3. It's a lot. 30% of the patients reported previous experience with cannabis. So in total, in the period of 3 years, 8,560 patients received an answer to our questionnaire. Okay. During the study period, 10,713 patients received cannabis license from the Ministry of Health. This slide is very important to understand because most of the cannabis studies asking only the willing patients. If I will go to a dispensary and I will question the patient I will see there, I will of course include in my study only those that respond to the treatment. They come again and again and again to the dispensary. I'm excluding, it's a selection bias when we are excluding all those patients that doesn't respond to the treatment, that suffer from adverse event, that does not have a sufficient reduction in symptoms and just give up the treatment. So during 3 years, 10,713 patients receive cannabis license for Tikun Olam. So instead of following only those that coming again and again every month to the dispensary, we are following on all patients receiving medical cannabis license. It's important to understand. Of them, 275 patients died before receiving the license. In Israel, since the moment the doctor applied for the Ministry of Health until the patient have the license, it can take something between 3 to 7 weeks. You can see that for some patients, these 3 to 7 weeks were critical and they were no longer with us when the license arrived, and another 453 patients that changed their mind. Yes, the doctor recommended, yes, I have the license, but you know, I forget about it, I don't want it. All the rest initiated treatment, and of them, 8,560 patients answered to our intake questionnaire. That's the interview with the nurse. And I showed you the intake questions, what we ask, mainly about symptoms, intensity, and other elements. I will show you the results. So a month after beginning the treatment, I'm interested in that number. 519 patients stopped the treatment, and another 1,216 patients stopped the treatment at the 6 months follow-up. All of those patients were classified as treatment failure. So at 6 months, 6,038 patients were in an ongoing treatment, and 4,364 responded to the questionnaire. The first question is safety. What was the adverse event? The first question for the patient was, do you suffer from side effects after consuming medical cannabis? And as you can see up there, 34% of the patients said yes. All the rest said no. So when they said yes, we asked them, first of all, what kind of adverse events? You can see that the most prevalent one is dizziness, dry mouth, increased appetite, psychoactive effect, and others. All those that didn't report psychoactive effect as side effects probably like the effect. But after they told us the side effect that they suffer from, we asked the patient to evaluate the severity of each of the reported side effects. The severity from 1 to 10. 1, not that severe. 10, very severe. So we looked at the number. 34% of the patients said yes, some kind of at least one side effect. But when we stratified the safety rate into indications, you can see that epilepsy is the highest, with 40% of the patient experiencing any side effect, and the least one is Tourette syndrome with 29% of the patients. We asked the patients another question to tell us what was the effect of the cannabis treatment on their condition. It's a patient global assessment, and as you can see, 50.8% of the patients reported significant improvement in their condition. Another 34 reported moderate improvement, and 10% reported only slight improvement. You can see that almost 4% did not reported any change in their condition, and 0.3% reported deterioration in their medical condition. So for us, as I told you before, all the patients that discontinued treatment were classified as treatment failure. Here as well, even in those that remained in active treatment, if the effect of the treatment was only slight improvement, no change, or any of the deterioration, we classify those patients as treatment failure. We wanted to be very conservative in our approach. Slight improvement in the patient condition wasn't the treatment goal. The treatment goal was at least moderate or significant improvement, so that's why we classified all of them as treatment failure. So, treatment success, in total, the average was 70.6%. 70.6% of the patients were classified as treatment success. So it means all the rest were either discontinued treatment, reported only slight improvement in their condition, no change or deterioration, or if the patient, even if the patient remained in an active treatment, experienced significant improvement, but on a specific side effect, he reported 10 on a severity, or 8, 9, or 10 on the severity. Let's say, for example, dizziness. If he rated the dizziness on 8, 9, or 10, we classified him as treatment failure as well. So, as you can see, 70% does not represent almost anyone. It's just a median, it's just an average of the total group. But when we stratified the total group into different indications, you can see that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is the indication that responds the most to the treatment. Almost 91% of the patients that will come into the clinic, we can predict that they will be treatment success. 91% of them will be treatment success in 6 months. And I will show you what it means. The least success indications are autism, epilepsy, and Parkinson's disease. It doesn't mean that the 57% that respond to the treatment are not important, but for us as an industry, it's very important to understand who respond to what and what is the percentage. So we asked the patient to evaluate their pain intensity on a pain scale ranging from 0, no pain, to 10, worst pain imaginable. They rated their pain intensity in 2 time points. The first time point before initiating the cannabis treatment, and again at 6 months. It's the same patients. Those that didn't respond to both time points were excluded. So it's exactly the same patient, and you can see their answer in both time points one by one. So before the cannabis treatment, 60% of the patient reported 8, 9, or 10 when describing their pain intensity. Only 5% of the same group of patients reported 8, 9, or 10 when describing their pain intensity at 6 months. Similarly, we did the same with quality of life. Before the cannabis treatment, only 19% of the patients reported good or very good quality of life. At 6 months, that number raised to 70% of the patients. That trial was published. You can find it in PubMed with many other figures and tables. don't panic. I will explain everything. We ask the patient to tell us on all medication they consume in all time points of evaluation. I don't want to bring too much data, so I excluded many things, but this I remain because I want you to see something. So here we can see the family of drugs. Opioids, the most consumed drug in Israel. Even in the total, the first column is the total group, 8,560 patients. And then I cut it into, I split it into indication. So here you can see the intake data. 32% of the patients consume opioid at intake, but you can see that if you look at neuropathic pain, it's almost 50% of the patients that consume opioid. So here you can see the numbers of the intake session, and the only reason I put that table is to show you this table. So here we can see the class of the medication, and we can see the change at 6 months. We can see here same dose, nothing changed. Stopped consuming this medication, dose decreased, dose increased, or other. And the last column is patient that did not consume that kind of medication at the treatment initiation, but started treatment with this medication during the 6 months of the cannabis treatment. As you can see, 45% of the patients that consume opioid remained on the same dose, nothing changed. But 38.8%, only 40% of the patients stopped consuming opioids. It's the same as you can see with the other analgesic and antipyretics, all the pain medication and even sleep medications. For us, it was very important to show that the cannabis treatment was not only responsible for the reduction of pain. Of course, you will see reduction of pain. The patient receive many pain medication, and on top of that, you add cannabis. Okay, you will see reduction. But it's not only that the patient experience reduction of pain, but also they decrease the consumption of other medication, and that's very important. So we checked what was the products that were more the most effective for those patients that responded to treatment. We wanted to predict success rate in each indication by the product, and what we discovered is that for some indications like neuropathic pain and PTSD, extract will not do the work. Patient will prefer either smoking or inhalation, but will prefer the flowers in multiple sclerosis and in Tourette syndrome as well. But in cancer patients, autism patients, epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, and inflammatory bowel disease, mainly Crohn's disease and colitis, ulcerative colitis, we see that they consume extract. In a cancer patient, very low concentration of extract. 3% CBD, 3% THC, that's it. We have product of 50% THC, we have product of 20% THC. Those patients doesn't need that kind of high THC. I'm finished. So the last trial we conducted is an unpublished trial on behavioral disturbances in dementia. Most of the patients in dementia, 2 minutes? I have 2 minutes? No. So thank you very much.